In a world where the sun burns and time stands still, there are still creatures that breathe in rhythm with life itself. There are places on Earth where life exists only within the fragile limits of endurance. In those places, rain is a miracle, water is memory, and every breath is a test against death. At the heart of Africa, the Ennedi Plateau rises from sand and stone, a massive sandstone highland standing alone in the northeastern desert of Chad. Here, temperatures can exceed 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Annual rainfall barely reaches 2 inches, and the wind carries the sound of ancient time. Beneath the dark red cliffs, the Guelta hides like an ancient oasis. Water seeps up from deep underground, sustaining the last remaining forms of life from a Sahara that was once green. In this place, the last surviving West African crocodiles endure quietly, holding on to the breath of a forgotten world. Ennedi is not only a desert, it is a witness of time, where nature writes its story of endurance, adaptation, and survival at the edge of sand and sun. When dawn spreads across the cliffs, the first light awakens a world that once seemed asleep. Among the sand and wind, Ennedi slowly emerges, a land where silence carries the rhythm of life. In northeastern Chad, where the wind brings heat from rock and sand, there lies a land that seems forgotten. This is Ennedi, a sandstone plateau where the sun melts the surface at 113 degrees Fahrenheit and the yearly rainfall is just above 2 inches. Here, time appears to stand still, yet life, fragile as it is, continues to endure. Beneath the red cliffs lies the Guelta, an oasis hidden deep within an ancient canyon. Water from underground aquifers forms deep pools that sustain the last remnants of a one-screen Sahara. It is home to the final population of West African crocodiles, Crocodilus suchus. They are smaller and less aggressive than their Nile relatives, yet they carry the bloodline of an ancient world. When this desert was a floodplain, fewer than 10 individuals remain, scattered among the shrinking pools. They survive on fish, frogs, and at times on carcasses carried downstream. As the water recedes during the dry season, every breath becomes a gamble with extinction. Their yellow eyes, behind cracked scales, see the world as if through another age, where time is trapped in sand. In the center of the African continent lies a vast plain that stretches to the horizon. This is the Serengeti, the land of perpetual movement. Here, every wind and every cloud carries the rhythm of survival. From southern Tanzania to northern Kenya, more than 1 million wildebeests, 200,000 zebras, and thousands of Thomson's gazelles begin their journey, forming the greatest migration on Earth. They have no leader, only an inherited memory of fresh grass and moisture. The journey spans nearly 2,000 miles, following a recurring route each year. It is not only a search for food, but a cycle of birth, death, and renewal for the entire ecosystem. When the dry season rain falls on the northern plains, new grass sprouts, signaling the moment to cross the river. Ahead of them lies the Mara River, the biological boundary between life and death. The water flows fast, colored brown by mud and the remains of fallen animals. Beneath the surface, long shadows lie still Nile crocodiles. They have waited here for months, guided by instincts refined to the exact day. Each crocodile can reach more than 16 feet in length and weigh close to 1,000 pounds. Their bodies appear motionless, but are capable of lunging forward at over 25 miles per hour in an instant. On the riverbank, herds of zebras hesitate. They know that water means life, but also the greatest danger. The calls of wildebeests echo through the valley, mixing with the sound of distant thunder. A lead animal steps forward and jumps in. In a heartbeat, hundreds follow, turning the river into a flood of life. The crocodiles strike from below, their jaws opening more than 20 inches wide, clamping shut with a force of 650 pounds per square inch. one wildebeest is pulled under. The water churning with foam, the circle of life and death closes again. But most make it across, reaching the opposite bank where new grass awaits. Nearly 6,000 animals will die during the crossings, a massive toll. But one that maintains ecological balance. The carcasses carried downstream feed fish, microorganisms, and enrich the soil for future growth. Death itself nourishes life. On the high banks, white-backed vultures, fish eagles, and spotted hyenas wait. Each species holds its place in this natural feast. As the sun sets, the smell of decay spreads through the air, drawing in the entire food chain. On a distant mound, a pride of lions watches silently. They do not rush. Instinct tells them that prey exhausted from the river is easiest to bring down. From the water's edge, the struggle shifts to land. Here, the kingdom of lions begins. As night falls, only the sounds of insects and the heavy breathing of grazing animals remain. The pride moves through darkness, their steps almost silent. The heat of the day fades as moisture rises from the ground. Before the moon appears, the hunt will begin. Dawn in the Serengeti is never gentle. The first light does not bring peace, but awakens tension that never ends. Across the plains, lions, the ultimate symbol of power, begin to move. A typical pride contains 10 to 15 individuals. At its center are the females, the hunters, the caretakers, and the foundation of the pride. They are bound by bloodlines, genetics, and memory of the territory. The males, larger and maned like shields, have one purpose: to defend dominance and lineage. In this pride, Oumi, the lead female, maintains order. She is not the strongest, but she has the longest memory. Every path, every water source, and every hunting ground exists within that inherited memory. Beyond the pride, Sakami, the largest male in the marshlands, rules as king under his control. The entire southern plain belongs to the black-maned ruler. As the dry season lengthens and water disappears, conflicts between lion prides become inevitable. Each territory may contain up to 3 separate prides. Their borders marked by scent, roar, and blood. A new young male enters Sakami's domain to challenge for control. This is not just a contest of strength, but of biology itself. The winner gains the right to mate. The loser must flee or die. The fight is fast and violent. Roars echo across the plains, and bites target the neck and legs, ending with a decisive kill. Sakami remains king, but his body carries the scars of every victory. In nature, every triumph comes with a price. Farther north, spotted hyenas observe. They are the natural counterbalance to lions' rivals in power and cleaners of what remains. Despite their chaotic appearance, hyenas have a complex matriarchal society. Females are larger than males, and only dominant individuals can reproduce. They communicate through more than 20 vocalizations, from high-pitched laughs to low warning calls. When the lions finish feeding, the hyenas arrive. They do not come because they are weaker, but because they choose their moment carefully. A clan of 15 hyenas can drive away an entire pride of lions if they outnumber them. They consume every remaining piece of flesh and bone, leaving nothing to waste. In ecological terms, the conflict between lions and hyenas forms a dynamic balance. Neither species eliminates the other, because both are essential to survival. If lions disappeared, hyenas would overpopulate and disrupt prey populations. If hyenas vanished, carcasses would accumulate and disease would spread. Both species sustain order through controlled conflict. When dark clouds pass over the Angolan highlands, the first raindrops fall onto the plateau. They begin a journey of nearly 600 miles. Crossing dry soil and forests before reaching the Okavango Delta in Botswana. This is one of the few river systems on Earth that does not flow into the sea. The water is trapped within a vast basin, forming an immense wetland where all life depends on the rise and fall of its level. When the flood arrives, the dry land transforms into a maze of channels. Herds of lechui and impala move swiftly through the shallow waters, while tall reeds obscure the view. These flooded lands act as a natural filter. Every drop that passes through the mud rich in microorganisms, is purified before returning to the web of life. At the center of this maze lives the hippopotamus amphibius, a heavy creature that plays an essential role in the ecosystem's balance. An adult can weigh between 2,000 and 3,300 pounds and releases more than 50 pounds of waste into the water each day. That waste becomes a major source of nutrients for algae and small fish, supporting the entire food chain of the delta. Hippos feed on land at night and bring the energy of the grasslands back into the water during the day, forming a perfect cycle of nutrient transfer between two worlds. At the same time, this massive animal represents silent aggression. They defend underwater territories with deep vocalizations that can travel for miles. Each pool is a fortress, and only the dominant male is allowed to occupy its center. When the water recedes, the groups are forced closer together, tensions rise, and blood often colors the shallow pools. In nature, even peace is maintained by boundaries. Not far away, across the muddy plains, Dark shapes move like slow rivers. They are Cape buffalo. Each individual weighs close to 2,000 pounds, with curved horns like a crescent moon turned downward. They live in herds of hundreds, held together by absolute herd instinct. When one runs, all run. When one turns, the entire herd stops. That unity is their shield against predators. Cape buffalo are also architects of the grasslands. Each step breaks the dry crust of soil, allowing water to seep deeper. Their waste adds nitrogen, restoring nutrients to the grass. Between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, where two tectonic plates collide, a strip of land has been torn apart into thousands of islands. This is Indonesia, the archipelago of fire, water, and layered life. On the map, the country stretches for more than 1,800 miles and includes over 17,000 islands. Constant earthquakes and volcanic activity have shaped a diverse landscape. Dense rainforests in some regions, dry and sun-scorched land in others. This geographic isolation has turned each island into a separate laboratory of evolution. Every species here, from birds and reptiles to insects, carries traits found nowhere else on Earth. In the eastern part of the Lesser Sunda Islands, among powerful ocean currents, lies a remarkable island, Komodo. From a distance, it appears as a rugged block of dry forest, divided by deep valleys. The air is hot and dry, and rain lasts for only a few short months each year. Yet, in this harsh environment, a legendary creature survives: the Komodo dragon, Varanus comodoensis. First documented in the early 20th century, this giant lizard is the largest living carnivorous reptile on the planet. An adult male can grow up to 8.5 feet long and weigh more than 200 pounds. Its body is covered in thick, armor-like scales, beneath which lie tiny bony plates, a remnant from its prehistoric ancestors. Under sunlight, its skin glows with shades of gray and bronze, blending perfectly with the island's dry terrain. The Komodo dragon is a patient predator. It remains motionless for hours, moving only when prey passes close. When it strikes, it lunges suddenly, biting the leg or neck before retreating. Its saliva contains hundreds of species of bacteria that cause tissue decay. In many cases, the prey does not die from the bite itself, but from infection that follows. The dragon then follows the scent of blood, sometimes for hours or days, until the prey collapses. It is an example of extreme energy efficiency in predation. If the land of Komodo is a world of rock and fire, then beneath its blue waters lies another universe, vivid, silent, and precise in every detail. At the meeting point of the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, the coral reefs surrounding Komodo form a transitional ecosystem. Cold currents from the south bring nutrients, while warm currents from the north carry coral larvae. The collision of these two flows creates ideal conditions for thousands of marine species to coexist. In shallow waters, sunlight penetrates the surface and illuminates clusters of acropora corals, shaped like branching stone trees. Each centimeter of coral grows only a few millimeters per year, yet over centuries, they have built entire living cities. Within these structures, thousands of small fish take shelter: damselfish, clownfish, pygmy angelfish, and countless others. Corals are not plants. They are colonies of millions of polyps, tiny animals with tentacles that capture plankton. inside their tissue live single-celled algae. Called zooxanthellae, the primary energy source for the reef. The algae perform photosynthesis, producing sugars and oxygen, while the corals provide shelter, a perfect symbiotic relationship. When the water temperature rises only 1 or 2 degrees Celsius above normal, the algae leave their hosts and the reef loses its color. This bleaching event causes the biological structure to collapse. In the dimmer midwater zone, feather stars crinoids extend their arms. They resemble flowers, but they are relatives of sea stars. Their 10 feathered arms are lined with fine filaments that capture drifting particles. They move by crawling along the seafloor or gently swimming with rhythmic arm movements, a survival skill unchanged for more than 400 million years. Around the large reefs, coral groupers and moray eels cooperate in hunting. The grouper chases prey out of crevices, while the moray waits at the exit to ambush it. Both share the catch, a clear example of cooperative strategy between predators lower on the reef. Triggerfish use their strong jaws to crush sea urchins, butterflyfish graze on algae, and juvenile batfish mimic flatworms to avoid predators. These survival tactics form a natural defense network where every species plays a role. In deeper water, where light fades to blue haze, the shadow of a massive creature glides past a manta ray. Its wingspan can reach over 20 feet, and its weight exceeds 2 tons. On its belly, unique patterns of black and white spots serve as biological fingerprints for individual identification. Some individuals are entirely black, a pigment variation known as melanism. Manta rays must keep swimming to breathe, and they often return to the same sites known as cleaning stations. There, small fish such as yellow butterfly fish and blue angelfish remove parasites from their skin and gills. It is a mutualistic relationship. Both species benefit, a perfect symbol of cooperation in the ocean. At times, mantas burst from the water, their massive bodies spinning in the air. Scientists believe this behavior helps remove parasites or produce sound waves to communicate with others. Under the setting sun, a manta's leap marks the brief connection between two worlds, water and air. Deeper down, the temperature drops rapidly. Here, species such as mackerel, blue sharks, and yellowfin tuna move through cold currents. They are biological engines, streamlined bodies, counter-current blood flow to retain muscle heat. And perfect adaptation for hunting in deep water. Yet every one of them depends on the energy that begins with coral, the foundation of this ecosystem. From microscopic polyps to animals weighing tons, all are connected within an intricate chain of life. The loss of a single coral reef means the collapse of hundreds of dependent species. Conversely, when warm water returns, the entire system revives and continues its ancient rhythm. Beneath the Komodo Sea, every movement has purpose, absorbing, exchanging, and renewing. As the sun sets and the light fades through the layers of water, the reef emits a faint blue glow like a soft breath. This underwater universe is the perfect mirror of the dry island above, where life does not ignite through fire, but spreads through light and flow. About 250 miles off the eastern coast of Africa, Madagascar drifts alone in the Indian Ocean like a miniature continent. It separated from Africa more than 90 million years ago, and since then, evolution here has followed its own isolated path, untouched by the outside world. With an area comparable to that of Vietnam, the island is one of Earth's most important biological treasures. Nearly 90% of its species exist nowhere else on the planet, an extraordinary level of endemism. Even by global standards, every forest, valley, and mountain range here represents an independent evolutionary experiment where time flows at its own pace. In the dry southern regions, winds carry the scent of salt and red dust. But toward the center, mountain ranges rising above 6,500 feet capture moisture from the monsoon winds. These mountains divide Madagascar into two contrasting worlds, the arid west and the humid east, and this boundary has driven countless forms of adaptation. As dawn light filters through the eastern rainforest, the first animals awaken. Among them are ring-tailed lemurs, Lemur cata, the emblem of Madagascar. They gather in groups of 10 to 20, sitting upright with arms open, facing the sun. This behavior serves to warm their bodies after cold nights, yet in the soft morning light, it resembles an ancient ritual. Lemurs are primates found only on Madagascar, having diverged from their African ancestors around 55 million years ago. They live in matriarchal societies where females lead the group, decide direction of travel, and control feeding order. Males must follow the hierarchy and can only mate during the breeding season. In a dry forest environment, such structure ensures that resources are shared efficiently and conflicts are minimized. Their diet is flexible, consisting of fruits, flowers, leaves, and even the resin of euphorbia, plants a substance toxic to most animals. But harmless to lemurs. This unique tolerance allows them to exploit food sources that others must avoid. Their calls echo across the valleys, serving both as alarm signals and communication between groups. Each troop has distinct vocal patterns that help them maintain territorial boundaries. In nature, sound defines invisible borders, the line between peace and conflict. Beneath the canopy, another creature begins to move, the Labird's chameleon, Furcifer labardi. The reptile with the shortest lifespan in the world. It lives for only 4 months, hatching at the start of the rainy season, growing rapidly, breeding, and dying before the dry season returns. Only the eggs survive the heat, waiting to hatch with the next rain. Its entire life passes in a single season speed, replaces longevity as a survival strategy. Labird's chameleons can change color to regulate body temperature and communicate. Their eyes move independently. Rotating nearly 180 degrees. Millardist. Allowing them to monitor 2 directions simultaneously. When hunting, their tongues, twice the length of their bodies, shoot out at speeds exceeding 20 times the force of gravity. It is a precision biological weapon, contained within a body only a few inches long, across the Central Highlands. Forests give way to terraced rice fields. The Malagasy people have cultivated rice on these mountain slopes for thousands of years. Producing a single kilogram of rice requires more than 500 gallons of water, and this system has created a cycle of mutual dependence between humans and nature. Rainwater seeps into the soil, nourishing the forests below, while the forests in turn retain moisture for future harvests. From the air, Madagascar appears as a vast mosaic of ecosystems. The east holds rainforests. The central plateau supports agriculture. And the west is covered by dry forests and spiny thickets. Each region forms a separate world, home to species that may exist within only a few square miles. In the limestone forests of the southwest, the landscape transforms into the sharp pinnacles of the Tsingy formations. Jagged towers of rock rising like blades. Within this maze of stone lives another lemur, Deccan's sifaka, Propithecus decanii. A master of climbing, it can leap more than 30 feet between peaks without touching the ground. Its hands and feet are adapted for gripping. Even the sharpest rock surfaces. For this species, the stone forest is not an obstacle, it is a pathway. Madagascar is a place where time feels extended, where evolution is still unfolding. Every species here represents a separate chapter of life's story, isolated, yet in harmony with the greater symphony of Earth. From the arid Sahara to the rainforests of Madagascar, this journey reveals life in its countless forms. Water, fire, wind, and time all have shaped living beings that differ in appearance yet share one instinct: survival. In the desert, ancient crocodiles still wait for the return of water. Across the Okavango plains, herds of buffalo and hippos keep the pulse of the wetlands alive. Beneath the waters of Komodo, manta rays glide like the heartbeat of the ocean. And in the forests of Madagascar, bamboo lemurs endure beneath a canopy that shrinks with every passing year. Together, they tell a simple truth. There is no strongest species, only those that adapt. Every organism reminds us that nature does not seek victory, it seeks balance. Earth is always in motion. It breathes through rainfall, renews itself through each flood season, and silently witnesses what is lost. Human beings are only a small part of that rhythm, a single note in the planet's symphony. When night falls, life does not disappear. It changes form, shifts its rhythm, and continues the endless cycle of existence.